In the UK, 3 animal rights activists broke into the Cambridge Primate Research Centre in the middle of the night, where chimpanzee experiments were being carried out, showing footage of human anger, violence, and destruction. The activists took photographs, and as he began, a scientist spotted them and rushed in, calling for security. The group stops him in the nick of time and catches him, but the scientist discovers that the chimpanzees are suffering from a highly contagious and extremely dangerous disease known as rage. He begs you not to do anything because he is infected with a virus. However, the activists do not take him seriously, and when he releases one of the chimpanzees, he immediately attacks and bites the woman in an uncontrollable rage, causing one of the others to kill her. While the other chimpanzees ran wild in the cage, the female began spitting blood on her floor and in the faces of her friends. Her scientist says she must be killed, but it is too late for her. She turns into a zombie and attacks everyone in her room. 28 days later, Jim wakes up from a coma in an empty hospital. He leaves the room and walks around looking for people, but he doesn't find a single soul. There's just confusion everywhere. After getting a few drinks from the vending machine, he leaves the building to explore London and finds the city in the same state. There were no people at all, but there was much destruction. He finds a newspaper, learns that there is a mass exodus in Britain, and sees a sign of thousands of missing people on a huge bulletin board. Eventually, Jim enters the church and finds a creepy message on the wall. When he reached the main room, he was shocked to see that it was full of rotting corpses. When he said hello, several people suddenly started moving and stared at him with blank expressions. Then the priest comes out, but he's a zombie, and tries to hit Jim with a bag of canned goods. The priest doesn't care and tries to chase after him, so Jim runs away. Other zombies also leave the church and begin chasing Jim, who runs at full speed until he reaches a gas station. There, survivors Mark and Selena throw Molotov cocktails at the zombies and start burning them, and once Jim is safe with the zombies, they throw a bomb at the gas station and blow it up. The two then take Jim to their hideout, an abandoned candy shop on the London Underground. When Jim tells her that he is in a coma after a car accident, Selena explains that a highly contagious virus has leaked from a research centre and is spreading out of control, turning people into zombies and destroying British society. Most of the population is now dead or affected, the military is overwhelming, and the government no longer exists. Jim wants to go to his parents' house to check on them, ignoring Selena's warning that his parents are likely dead. So she and Mark agree to go with him to spend some time together. In the morning, the trio make their way carefully through a very deserted London and arrive safely at Jim's old house. There, a devastated Jim discovers that his parents have erased themselves to avoid becoming zombies. They even left him a message saying, "Don't wake up." As Jim cries, Selena and Mark say that they should be thankful that their family died peacefully since they had to watch their family become monsters. They spend the night in this house, but Jim can't sleep and decides to watch old family videos. The light he turns on reveals his location, and suddenly 2 zombies jump out the window and attack him. As Jim struggles to defend himself, he shouts, attracting Mark and Selena's attention, and quickly springs into action, defeating both creatures with brutal and effective ferocity. Selena then makes sure that Jim has not been bitten or has a single drop of blood in his mouth. Unfortunately, it was Mark who was injured, the wound on his arm covered in zombie blood. Without hesitation, Selena cuts Mark to death with a machete, and she announces that more zombies are coming and she has to leave. After washing, changing, and gathering all the supplies in the house, Jim and Selena leave, and Selena tells Jim that if anyone is infected, whether it's a relative or a friend, he must kill them immediately. "I warn you that it won't happen." They then spot flashing lights from a nearby apartment and go to investigate. The building is in a dire state and there are many trolleys in the lobby, but the two climb over them to reach the stairs. You will have to climb several floors, and when you stop to take a break, you will hear the screams of zombies that have invaded the building. They can also jump over trolleys and climb stairs, allowing Jim and Selena to climb faster while zombies chase them. After climbing several floors, they froze when a man in a hazmat suit blocked their path and told them the apartment number and location. The man stays there and fights the zombies by stopping them with his shield and hitting them with a bat. The two arrived at the apartment, but the girl inside did not open the door until the man returned safely. Once everyone is inside, Frank and his daughter Hannah introduce themselves and give them a warm welcome. This is an apartment with all the lights on. Frank is happy that his own signal has finally brought his mate. The next day, Frank shows Jim all the buckets on the roof and explains that it hasn't rained in a while. Resources are becoming scarcer day by day, and it is no longer possible for them to stay in this apartment for a long time. Frank then repeatedly shows Jim and Selena military radio broadcasts claiming that soldiers are offering shelter to other survivors outside Manchester and even promises answers to the epidemic. Frank wants to travel there, but Selena is skeptical and he says it's probably a trap or an old recording that's no longer true. Hannah gives a heartfelt speech and convinces everyone that it's worth the risk. The group then heads to Manchester in Frank's taxi, taking all the supplies they can carry. As they travel through London, they see all the destruction and bodies in the streets. As they try to go through the tunnel, their path is blocked by dead bodies and crashed cars, but Frank decides to drive through and push the tunnel away. In fact, they manage to drive through the gorge, but their car gets a flat tire on the way. When the group goes outside to change a tire, they hear a very strange noise, suddenly see hundreds of rats coming towards them, and realize that zombies are coming. There was no time for additional tools, so an adult lifted the car while Hannah changed the tire. They see zombie shadows approaching and soon they start jumping over the vehicles they crashed into, but they finish changing the tires in time and manage to drive away. They then drive for a few more hours and once they reach the countryside, they stop at a burger joint to get gas from an abandoned truck. Curious, Jim decides to enter the building, where he discovers his dead family. Suddenly you are attacked by a baby zombie and you have no choice but to kill him to survive. Then we continue through the still beautiful landscape. They stop for dinner and watch the horses run around without a care in the world. Serena admitted it was better than she expected and even kissed Jim on the cheek. That night, the group spends the night at the ruins of an old castle. Unable to sleep, Hannah and Jim wake Selena up to ask how to do it, so Selena tells them her medication. In the morning, Jim wakes up to find himself alone and panics. However, Frank wakes him up and reveals that it was just a dream. The next day, as the group continued their journey, they saw Manchester burning in the distance. Eventually, they found the blockade with a message, but it was all empty despite having military trucks and equipment. Serena thinks they should leave, but Frank refuses to admit defeat and continues searching the area. He gets very angry and when he hears a crow nearby, he kicks the wall the crow is standing on, making it disappear. A crow eats a zombie, and as it moves, a drop of blood falls into Frank's eye. He knows what will happen, so he tells Hannah that he loves her and asks her to leave him. Hannah still tries to get to him, but when her virus reacts, an angry Frank pushes her daughter away. He then backs away as he begins to transform, so Selena tells Jim to kill him while still holding Hannah. Jim, not wanting to hurt his friend, freezes, but luckily some soldiers who suddenly arrive shoot Frank dead within seconds, and they are saved. The soldiers then take Jim, Serena, and Hannah to a safe mansion in the woods. There some of the surviving soldiers established a new base to protect the place from zombies. Their leader, Major West, greets them and offers them a meal and a shower. Once they settle down, Hannah falls asleep and Serena collapses right in front of Jim. He tries to comfort her with a kiss, and at first, Selena kisses him back, but when she realizes what's going on, she leaves her room. Jim then goes to Major West to ask about the answer to the epidemic that was mentioned in the radio message. It turns out they have no cure. West believes his answer lies in all the extra safety plans installed around the house and in the kitchen equipment. West also revealed that he even captured a zombie soldier chained in the mansion's courtyard for his research purposes. Jim thinks it's cruel, but West wants to know what it takes to starve the zombies to death. He says that might be the real answer they need. That night, Jim's group has dinner with the soldiers but is a little intimidated by their tough, macho demeanor. West, in uniform, insults the man who prepared dinner for his mistake. He also assumes that Hannah can take over her job in the kitchen. Suddenly, an alarm sounds and the soldiers rush outside to protect the villa from the attacking zombies. The men quickly arrived at their assigned positions and opened fire, killing dozens of zombies and creating a huge explosion with their weapons, defeating the enemy in just a few minutes without breaking a sweat. That's why, after starving the zombies, he sends a radio message when the soldiers return as a prelude to more zombies. Terrified, Jim rushes to Hannah and Serena and tries to leave with them, but they are soon defeated and captured by soldiers. Farrell also disagrees with West's plan and tries to protect her, but she is still captured. Jim and Farrell were trapped together, and Farrell said that the infection could not have come from the sea, so the rest of his arm was likely infected. While Mitchell lunges at Jones and screams, Jim takes advantage of the opportunity and disappears. The soldiers notice and immediately go looking for him, but it turns out that Jim is pretending to be a corpse in the mountain. Jim then manages to escape by jumping over a wall and leaving his shirt behind. Seeing this, the soldiers decided to leave him alone, thinking that he would not survive the zombies prowling behind the walls. As Jim runs into the woods, she suddenly trips and falls, prompting Jim to take medication to make the experience less traumatic for her. When the soldier heard this, he rushed back to his house, but before he could do anything he heard the alarm go off again. It turns out that Jim was at the blockade site and he was intentionally raising the alarm. Soon West and another soldier arrive and begin searching the area, so Jim carefully sneaks around, ambushing the soldier and knocking him out. West notices that his partner is missing, looks around, and finds her dead in the jeep, leaving him to watch over them. When Serena takes advantage of the opportunity and drags Hannah out, the zombie vomits blood on the soldier and goes to find Jones. The first soldier will also become a zombie. Serena and Hannah try to leave the house but are stopped by Mitchell. Suddenly, Jones runs off with the zombies behind him, so Mitchell sends his soldiers after them while he deals with the girls. Jones manages to hide in the kitchen, and when the zombies try to capture Jones, Mitchell finds his father among his belongings. When she hears the zombies approaching, she hides behind the mirror just in time. The zombie walks away, confused by his own reflection. Back to Jim's story, he runs through the mansion looking for the girls and enters a room where he discovers a soldier hiding because he is out of bullets. Jim ignores his pleas for help and jumps out the window, leaving the soldier to be eaten by zombies. Jim runs across the rooftop and witnesses the room where Mitchell is attempting to take advantage of the kiss. Hannah also assumes that Jim is infected, and she suddenly hits him with a vase. Fortunately, Jim is unharmed and the three quickly flee the building, but when they approach Frank's taxi, they find West inside. West says he wants revenge on his men and shoots Jim, so Hannah quickly reverses the cab and drives into the building. The previously chained zombie breaks the back window and drags West outside for revenge. Hannah leaves immediately and picks up Jim and Serena at the IC. She revealed she had made giant letters that spelled out "hello." The plane sees this and turns to save them.